Hello everyone. I'm Maya from the Network team, and today we're going to do a new project, prompt engineering for healthcare. This is great if you've been wanting to, use more AI tools to help you with your day-to-day work. And best place to start is just to understand how we can design good prompts to help us get great results. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build a clinical AI assistant in Claude with safety guardrails. And we'll do this all by just curating amazing AI prompts. So in this project, what we're going to build is we're going to create prompts that simulates a pharmacist, give some education to patients. So really explaining medical terms in a way that a layman can understand, like me, and get differential diagnosis. So a little extra help when you're dealing with difficult diagnosis, and create safety layers to make sure that confidence levels are in check and so forth. And you can do this and just make your patient smile and make yourself smile too. Let's get started. All right, so all Nextwork project has 3 tracks, and we're going to do the step-by-step guidance. It's my favorite track. It just has all the details, all the steps. And we've got tasks here that you can fill out. And by the end of the filling out the task, you'll get a documentation that you can then share with your family, friends, colleagues, put it on LinkedIn. Really nifty little tool. So you'll see a lot of these tasks throughout the project, and don't get intimidated by them. You can always come back and edit them. All right, so what are we doing in this project? In this project, I'm going to build a clinical AI assistant using prompt engineering. I want to learn this because I want to leverage the AI tools to make my day-to-day life easier. All right. Okay. Let's get set up. So we can use any kind of AI chatbots. Most people use ChatGPT, but everyone at the Nextwork team, including me, we love Claude. And I highly recommend using Claude. They've got great features, and you can do all of this for free if you're interested. And if after this project it sounds good, you can go for a paid plan. All right, so in this step, I am setting up a Claude account and creating a Claude project, whatever that means, to start with my clinical AI assistant. All right. Okay. So again, y'all know that we need to make sure that all the HIPAA assurances and checks are in place. So of course, we're only using sample synthetic data. Make sure you practice that as well. All right, I happen to have a Claude.ai account, but if you don't, we tell you where you need to go, what you need to do. So feel free to take that option if you need it. I'm going to click on this, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I have Claude AI open. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to this side and move the project to the left side so that I can see both. All right, so we're going to go and click on the projects in the left sidebar. So if you see this, then look for this little icon over here. It's hiding in there, and then you'll see all of it, right? So we're going to click on projects. Okay, let's click on projects. Awesome. Now we want to click on new project. And what are we going to do here? we're going to call the project Clinical Assistant. What are you trying to achieve? Well, we're going to build a clinical AI assistant with safety guardrails, drug interaction checking, patient education, and differential diagnosis support. Let's create a project. All right. Oh, now we get to take a screenshot of our new clinical assistant project. So let me do that right now. Again, all this is for our beautiful documentation. And you can see how that's going to come and look like by the end of the project. Pretty cool, right? Okay. All right, so what is a Claude project? It is a persistent workspace with custom instructions, uploaded documents, saved conversation history. The free tier allows for up to 5 projects, and every conversation inside the project automatically uses our instructions. So you don't have to repeat context each time. So it's like giving it enough information, and the project itself contains a lot of information that you provided. So it is like your little assistant, your consultant, your clinical AI assistant, what have you. All right, so now we want to add base project instructions. So we'll create custom instructions that tell Claude how to behave in this conversation. So let's set project instructions. So how do we do that? Let's go back to all projects or click on the ... So I think the reason why you don't see the whole thing is because I have it in this mode where you can see both screens. So I've just expanded it a little bit, and you can see instructions here. Different places, you can find it in different places. You can go to edit details. And yeah, I think it might be on the right side for some, depending on which view you have, but I see it here. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to copy and paste this information. So what does it say? It says you are a clinical AI assistant. So we're telling the project, and this is the instructions we're giving the project. You are a clinical AI assistant supporting a physician. Your role is to help with clinical reasoning, drug information lookup, patient education, and diagnostic brainstorming. Important limitations: you are not a replacement for clinical judgment. All outputs are for educational brainstorming purposes only. Never use real patient data in this chat. Always recommend verification with authoritative sources like UpToDate, Lexicomp, clinical guidelines. And then here you can choose what your specialty is and what your practice setting is. So I am no doctor, well, not that kind of doctor. So I will just give the default values there, and we'll keep going. All right, I've clicked save. And why are we adding safety disclaimers? Did you ask that question? Well, we covered it. We want to add that because it's a good reminder that AI is a brainstorming tool, not clinical authority. So by giving that safety disclaimers, it will make sure that it constantly communicates to us that, hey, I am not a medical expert. Please refer to clinical authorities. I'm giving you the best answer that I have based on the research I've done. So, all right, let me take a screenshot of the instructions. Of course. Happy to provide the instructions here. All right, what is the purpose of adding safety disclaimers to your project instructions? Oh, I added safety disclaimers because it allows me and Claude to provide reminders with each output to refer to a clinical authority for 100% verification. But if you just want a brainstorming tool, then this is great. All right, our clinical assistant is ready to go. What? So easy? Are we done with the project? What else are we going to do? Okay, now we're going to start learning how to prompt it in a way that helps us get the results that we want. And even with this, just keep in mind, like these are the kinds of ways you can prompt your project instructions, giving it a role, and then giving it an objective and understanding the limitations. And we're going to add different layers to this instructions as we go. All right, so we've got our base instructions. Now the first clinical task. We're going to check drug interactions. So if you're taking one kind of medicine, you've got certain medications, and then you want to add another one, you want to make sure that there's no negative interactions between the two medications or more. So it's good to keep an eye on, be able to check, right? So if you are doing that, you want that extra clinical AI assistant to give you that thumbs up, then this is what the first task would be. All right, so we're going to use role prompting to make Claude respond as a clinical pharmacist. And then we're going to test drug interaction checks with sample medication pairs. And then we'll iterate on our prompt to improve specificity and clinical relevance. In this step, I am going to use role prompting to make AI respond as a clinical pharmacist and test drug interaction checks with sample medication pairs. I will then iterate on my prompt to make sure that it improves its specificity and clinical relevance. Nice. Okay, so again, Claude is not a substitute for clinical databases, so don't forget to use the gold standards for these things. It is just a brainstorming tool that will help you make life a little bit easier. All right, let's start by using role prompting. So we kind of did that with our whole, you are a clinical assistant to a physician, right? We're going to add to that, and what we're going to add is a specific task. So this piece of the prompt, and this is going to be added to what we already have. When I ask about drug interactions, respond as a clinical pharmacist with 10 years of experience. For each interaction, give me the following, right? Severity level, mechanism of interaction, clinical significance, management recommendation, and all that stuff. So let's copy this, go back to our instructions, and then add this. Nice. And save. All right. So why a clinical pharmacist role? Because when you want to talk about drug interactions, who knows best other than a pharmacist? So by giving that persona of a clinical pharmacist, you're basically saying, hey, you are the expert of this. So kind of like role playing, you know? All right, so now that's done. Now we're going to actually test out the role prompt. All right, so what is the drug interaction between warfarin and aspirin? Okay, so now we're in this project and we're going to start a new conversation, right? We're just going to click here and hit enter. What is the drug interaction between warfarin and aspirin? Severity level, major. Mechanism of interaction, whoa. I don't understand what this means, but hopefully, assuming that you're in the healthcare field, you might understand this a little bit more. Sounds very useful. Let's see. Avoid combination. Use aspirin or warfarin per indication, not both. Okay. So if you are going to use both, you need a co-prescription. Good to know. Bottom line for your outpatient practice in family medicine, because we gave our specialty with medicine, right? The most common scenario is an older person on warfarin for AF who is also on aspirin from years ago. This is a high yield medication reconciliation target. Many of these patients have no remaining guideline supported indication for aspirin and stand to benefit from its discontinuation. Okay, so again, you can verify with Lexicomp, but for the most part, I think we got our answer. But I see that this is a lot, and it's not something I would want to share with a patient, right? If I don't understand it, I'm easily a patient. So yeah, cool. Great response. I kind of got the gist of it, that it's a bad idea. Warfarin and aspirin is a well-known major interaction, and it's known for its risk. Claude should identify the increased bleeding risk. And this is a good first test because the answer is well documented and easy to verify. So now let's test a common but generally safe combination. Okay, this is metformin and lisinopril. Okay. All right, let's try this one. Ooh, and note that I'm still in the clinical assistant project, right? So you want to make sure that you were in that project. Severity level minor. So it's not too bad. It's commonly co-prescribed, very helpful for patients with type 2 diabetes. Mechanism of interaction seems okay. The real clinical concern is not the direct drug-drug interaction, it's the shared dependency on renal function. So I guess in some cases it might be something to keep in mind of. But really cool, right? What a cool way of prompting so that you can get just a affirmation of something that you might already know or just wanted to confirm. Let's test a nuanced interaction. Sertraline and tramadol. All right, let's check it out. What is a drug interaction between sertraline and tramadol? All right, ooh, severity major. The interaction operates through two simultaneous pathways. And whoa, this doesn't look good. It can range from mild to life-threatening. Avoid in patients with epilepsy or a history of seizures. Okay. In your outpatient setting, this combination appears frequently, particularly in patients with comorbid depression and chronic pain. Tramadol is often perceived as a safer opioid, which leads to under recognition of its serotonergic profile. Oh my goodness. Clearly, I'm not in this field. But very, very cool that you can use prompt engineering for whatever field you're in, right? This is the third project we have in prompt engineering, and this is tailored specifically for folks in healthcare. So, all right. So this pair carries a serotonin syndrome risk. Claude should flag the severity. And yeah, so good to know. Serotonin syndrome is potentially life-threatening. Okay, I'm going to take this piece, and I like how it's got references and sources in here, and that it gives a disclaimer. Super useful. Pick one drug pair you tested. What severity level and mechanism did Claude identify? Okay, the last one was that I tried out was sertraline and tramadol. I tested it between these two. Claude identified that there is a clinically significant interaction. Ooh. Okay. Very cool. So let's iterate on prompt precision. So our role prompt works, but there's room to tighten. How are we going to tighten? So we're going to go back to our project instructions and we're going to add another layer. And this time we're going to say, if you had questions on, is this theoretical? Is this clinically documented? Ooh, things you think about as a doctor or as someone in the healthcare, right? Did it mention when the interaction kicks in immediately or over days? And if these are the things that you want to see, then you want to add that, right? Just train Claude, your clinical assistant, to be exactly who you want it to be, just to say in tailored ways. So I'm going to add this layer to this. Okay. This is in addition to all the things I've already taught, given the instructions. This is the extra piece. Additional drug interaction rules. Always state if it's theoretical or clinically documented. Include onset timing. And if you're uncertain, say so explicitly. Do not make assumptions and do not hallucinate as we talk about in AI terms, right? When AI doesn't know, sometimes it comes up with its own answers. So we're saying, hey, if you don't know, just say it. It's fine. So we're going to try that. And we're going to try the same couple of prompts. I'm going to try the same one, sertraline and tramadol. And you can see I'm creating new conversations each time. For these, I really didn't have to. Maybe it's out of practice, but it could have been the same conversation. Out of habit. Okay, what is the difference that comes in here? So we've got the same like severity level, mechanism of interaction, and then it tells you it's a clinical significant. So it's clinically. Let's see. Was this there in the last one? Let me just check. So let me go to Claude and let me pick up the last conversation. I think this is why I had it in two chat windows so that I can compare and contrast. Again, you can for this project, but really you don't have to. So let me see. Okay, so it did give me the clinical significance. What is it? What's different about this one? I'm going to test it side by side. All I did was add that little blurb of information, right? I tailored the prompt a little bit. So all this was there. References and guidance. I didn't see that. Oh, oops. Let me try it again. Let me try it one more time. Maybe it did not recognize the project instructions. So let's see. Let's do it one more time. Let's find my project first. And let me do it again. Okay, it's giving me the same answers. Good. Good test. Yup. All good. Yep. Oh, here it's given us the onset. Can be rapid. Hours to days. That's new. And then it's giving us management recommendations, sources, clinical perils, or plurals. Okay. So mainly this is the biggest change about the onset, but everything else I think it covered that even without that extra layer of prompt. And because it's AI, you never know what a general prompt is going to do. So it's always good to be specific about what you want to see and then go from there and then add more things. Nice. All right. So we added this bit and we're going to try one more. Try a polypharmacy scenario with 5 or more medications to see how Claude handles it. And this time I'm going to keep to the same project, okay? Same conversation. Okay, check for interactions between the following medications: lisinopril, metformin, atorvastatin, amlodipine, and sertraline. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to say all these medical terms anymore. I'm not going to say medication names anymore, okay? Please forgive me if I butchered it all. All right. Oh, moderate. 10 drug pairs analyzed below, organized by clinical priority. All are clinically documented unless noted theoretical. That's part of our newly updated prompt. And this one says clinically documented. This is clinically documented. This is intentionally therapeutic. Okay, so this is a good thing. This is a class effect. Theoretical, some clinical evidence, and so forth. Very interesting. And it gives you a nice little summary dashboard at the end. Oh, I could get used to this. So Claude confidently listed an interaction that does not exist. If that happened, understandable, just ask Claude again. Hey, if you cannot find it, state it clearly, just have a conversation. Just treat Claude like it's a clinical assistant and train it, Okay, so I'm going to give a screenshot of this one because it's got a nice little summary chart. And done. Amazing. So now our drug interaction prompts are dialed in. We're going to now tackle a completely different challenge, taking complex medical content and making it understandable for patients at different reading levels. Like me. Simplify medical content for patients. So we've got a drug interaction checker. It's working with role prompting. Now we have a different problem: patient communication. How do you tell someone with limited medical vocabulary what if you need the same explanation at 3 different levels? Like, you want to talk to a physician about it, you want to talk to a kid about it, and you want to talk to someone who kind of knows what they're talking about, but not a physician. You can always rewrite medical content at different reading levels, but if you prompt it well, it will be so easy. And what we're going to do is we're going to use something called Claude styles. What Claude styles will do is it'll create reusable writing presets. So if you find yourself having to change the language of how you explain things to your patients depending on the background of your patients. Sometimes English isn't a first language for your patients. Sometimes you want to not be so, grandiose with your medical terms, and you just want to explain it simply with metaphors. And sometimes you want to talk to a physician or document it somewhere. So different reading language levels, then you can quickly create this Claude styles so that you can reuse some of that styles. So in this step, I'm learning to use Claude styles. This is important because I will be able to use audience adaptation to rewrite content at different medical, clinical, and non-clinical levels. Nice. Awesome. All right, so now what do we do? Now we want to provide, we want to test it out, right? We want to go into actually figuring out how this styles works. So let's open Clinical Assistant. All right, so we're going to go to Clinical Assistant, start a new conversation right here, and then we're going to paste this, and we're going to hit enter. What does that even say? If you were a medical practitioner, I'm sure you understand that. But our assistant kind of is ready to support. So, hey, thanks for the clinical context. You've given me a solid management framework. I can help you with the following. I can give you a diagnostic reasoning, drug information, interaction management questions, patient education, monitoring and following up. What do you want from me? Okay. Can you explain this to me in simpler medical terms? Okay. Yeah. All right, so type 2 diabetes is where body doesn't manage blood sugar well, and treatment involves 3 main pillars. All right. Okay, so this is like, do you want a patient-friendly handout version, or do you have specific sections? So yeah, it's kind of general, but I don't know if I understand it. So this is like the baseline, right? We haven't given it any specifications on how we want to see the output to look like, what is supposed to come out, what does simpler terms mean, right? So let's help our clinical AI assistant a little bit here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this technique called audience adaptation prompting. Basically, we're telling our assistant that, hey, talk to me like I'm a 5th grader, or like I'm a 13-year-old, or like I'm a medical student, whatever you want, right? So what we're going to do here is paste the same thing and say, rewrite the whole thing, but in a 5th grade level. Okay. Building your health guide, keeping it simple and clear. Here is a simple guide written just for you. So, wow, it even like color codes it like I'm a 5th grader. I kind of like it. Your body has a sugar problem. When you eat, food turns into sugar in your blood, and your body uses a hormone called insulin to move that sugar into your cells for energy. Too much sugar in your blood over time can hurt your eyes, heart, kidney, and feet. Oh, and it really breaks it down into things like lifestyle, medicine, checkups, heart health, action plan. Really nice. Very cool. Now we can do the same thing and we can try it out in the 9th grade version. Just getting a little excited about this. Okay, so now we're going to try it in the 9th grade version. So it's a little more complex, just a little bit, but it's cool. It might be the happy balance of like some technical pieces and then some um, some layman terms too. And you can tailor it. You know, if you find yourself that college student or a high school graduate is the term you want to look, or you want to say, hey, I'm a medical student, so explain it to me. That way I get to refresh my memory. You can do that too. So it's all about tailoring your prompts, right? Let's also create a version for physicians. So, you know, hey, I want to talk from one physician to another physician. You know, I want to prepare for a conference. I want to get my terms right. I can use this little assistant. Yeah, so synthesizing clinical guidelines, formatting for physician review. I always like what Claude, you know, comes up with. The verbs are so much fun. Just keep an eye out for it. Drafting, formatting, thinking. Oh, it's a little more complex. Definitely not my cup of tea. I hope you're a physician and you can understand this. So I don't know what that says, but I do see here and there kind of makes sense. Very cool, right? And we can go through and just kind of compare. We've provided two different versions, right, back to back. But yeah, what did you notice about Claude's response when you did not specify a target audience or reading level? I noticed that without audience instructions, Claude gave a generic description or explanation of type 2 diabetes. But when I used audience adaptation prompting, it really tailored to a fifth grader or ninth grader or physician. And you could tell the difference of complexity in the answers. Nice. Okay. Let's now try and see if we can refine for accuracy and completeness. Okay, so this is like, hey, what to do, what not to do, those kinds of things. So let's try that out real quick. So we're just adding a little bit, right? And we're saying when you rewrite this, you know, put no medical jargon, use short sentences, use analogies. And so you're trying to kind of be more clean with that. And yeah, as you use your tool to your needs, you will find ways of modifying these things. What do you want to add and what do you not want to include? And I hope that this project teaches some kind of baseline of prompt engineering and how to get and maximize the AI tools that are now so readily available for you. And yeah, it's given you, it's, you know, added that extra panel of like, call your doctor if you notice this, call 911, talk to the ER. And you could even like use an artifact and save this, share it with someone. Very useful. So yeah, Claude is kind of nice that way. And all we did here is just prompting, right? We're going to take it one step further, and we're going to use this little feature called Claude style, so that anytime we want that particular style, we can just ask for that style. So how do we get there? We're going to go, so you can go back to the project. Basically, you want to go into the conversation, and you'll see this option called use style. And when you click on use style, you want to click on create and edit styles. And then you can choose create a custom style. So I actually have created a custom style. It's called Patient Education 5th grade. And how I did that was, I'm going to walk you through this. So you can click on create custom style, and then you want to do a describe style instead. You can play around with this. I mean, this is so cool and so much fun. Let's click to tailor to an audience, right? Because that's what we want. I'm going to copy this and we're going to say 5th grade, but I'm going to change it and I'm going to say medical student. Or maybe, you know what, 9th grade. Yeah. Never remove medication names, even in simplified versions. What else do I want to put in here? I think this is good. I think this is good. Let's do it. And you can even test out and see if it really makes a difference between 9th and 5th grade. All right, and I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna call it patient education, but I'm gonna call it 9th grade. Okay. All right, so now what do we do with this? We've created a style. You know what you need to do? You click on basically the same, put in the same prompt. We can even create a new conversation if you want, but the key here is you want to click or type a /. And when you do, you see all those options. And then you want to say 9th grade. And you hit enter. Because then you will see that that's selected. And now it's going to talk and respond exactly in the way you wanted it to. Cool, right? Let's check it out. Oh. Yep. It's giving me good. It's not dumbing it down too much for me, but it gives me very informative answers. Okay. Metformin and SGLT2 inhibitors. Yeah, very cool. Your doctor may prescribe a medicine called statin, a pill that lowers harmful cholesterol. Nice. Very interesting. So cool. I always learn something. Thanks, Claude. But yeah, isn't that cool? Now, whatever you want, you can always, it's always there for you. Always. And you can even check out some other styles. You can see, what learning style, concise, explanatory. You can play around with it, create your new style, whatever works for you. But now you know that you can all just prompt it, train it, and build your own little assistant. Very cool. I'm going to, it's totally up to you what you want to put here. I'm going to create the 9th grade version, and I'm going to put something like this. All right. What constraints did you add to prevent the simplified version from losing critical safety information? Oh, I added that extra term that these three. I added constraints to ensure that I don't lose critical safety information. And what are the things that I added? These three. Without these constraints, I think this is great. Amazing. So skills versus styles. When do you use it? When you use project instructions, when you use styles, play around with it. You will see that um, that the style and the project instruction might the project instruction is going to be there for everything you put in the project, right? The style is something that you can choose whenever you want, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility within the project. So that's why it might be useful to use style instead of putting it in the project instruction. Can you imagine every prompt being in fifth grade style? Nah, I don't think you want that. So having it in style gives you that opportunity to come back and say, hey, put it in this style, talk to me in this way, and gives you that little bit of flexibility. Okay. Step 4. Let's build a differential diagnosis assistant. All right, so we have drug checking, we've got patient education, styles working. Ooh, we're gonna take care of the most intellectually demanding use case, differential diagnosis support. What if you could use your clinical AI assistant to brainstorm a differential? So let's do that. This seems super exciting. I'm going to use structured output formatting to create a differential diagnosis structure. I will test it out with sample clinical presentation, iterated to include confidence levels, red flags, and next steps. And I'm going to play around with Claude skill. Whoa, so many things. All right, so we're going to create the skill called differential diagnosis. And what a Claude skill does is it's a saved prompt template, so you can invoke it on demand. And when you invoke it, it basically runs the same thing each time. All of this are part of the free plan, of course, but you've got a limit. And so if you are running into usage limits, might want to consider Claude Pro, but you should be able to do this project for free. All right, let's create a new conversation. We're going to go back to our clinical assistant project. We're going to click on this plus sign, skills, manage skills, and we're going to check out the differential diagnosis skill. All right, looks like I might have already kind of done a little bit of it, huh? Okay, let's see. All right, so what I did here is basically I went into creating a new skill and then write skill instructions. You can always play around with this, play around with all the other things too. But in writing a skill, I went ahead and did differential diagnosis, generate differential diagnosis report. I did all of this. I'm going to create this. I'm going to do 1 because I already did it. And then I'm going to include this prompt. And what does this prompt say? Notice how it kind of separates it. It gives you little headings. So this is a differential diagnosis. For each diagnosis, list 5 to 7 ranked by likelihood. And give me the rank and the diagnosis name. Cannot miss diagnosis. I mean, it's dangerous diagnosis that should be ruled out immediately, but whether it's likely or not, just put it there so that if it's there, we know, kind of useful. I don't know if you guys watch House MD, but yeah, I still love that show and very, very good at differential diagnosis. All right, so yeah, so now I have the skill done and I'm going to go ahead and use it. Oh. All right. Very cool. And done. All right. Ooh, look at how beautifully this is coming along. Oh, I haven't taken the time to appreciate it. We'll do that in the end. Okay, so now let's try it out with a sample case. Nope. Why did I refresh this? Okay, where was I? It's here. All right. So now we want to test out this skill. We're going to go into our chat. We're going to add to our clinical assistant project, and we're going to add a skill, differential diagnosis, right? Okay. Okay, Claude. Claude's giving me added prompt. This is what happens when you don't follow the instructions, right? Go to project, clinical assistant, and then what do we want to put? We want to type this. This is like 45-year-old male presents to the ED with acute onset chest pain. And gives a like started 30 minutes ago, pain is substernal, radiating to the left arm. Patient is diaphoric, nauseous. Okay. All right, give it to me. Let's bring on the diagnosis. Come on, Claude, do your thing. Thinking about acute coronary syndrome presentation and differential diagnosis. Ah. So it says acute ST elevation myocardial infarction is likely. Non-ST elevation is high. Aortic dissection type A, moderate. Pulmonary embolism, moderate. And it gives you all a list of possible diagnosis. Cannot miss diagnosis are the highly critical one, time critical, extremely fatal. So these are the things you want to definitely make sure and rule out. So nice little way of prompting it, right? Creating that skill so that you can get some of the cannot miss diagnosis. This could be a super useful prompt because it's looking through all medical data, textbooks, everything, research, and it might come up with things that you don't even think of because it's very rare. But yeah, very cool. Technology today is so cool. All right. Check whether the format matches the structure you define. It does for me. But if it doesn't, just let it know and tell it. And you can start a new chat, test it out some more, give a more ambiguous case to give it more of a test. Right? We are creating another conversation so that it doesn't confuse with the other one. Okay. Okay. So even though this one was a little vague, we didn't give too much information. You can tell that it still gives you some more more diagnosis, and then some cannot miss diagnosis. But it seems to do pretty well. It's awesome. We could even ask for things like, "Hey, give me follow-up questions, things to look for," and I think, you know, that's the next step, right? We can add that. Let's refine the skill. So let's go back and let's go to customize, go to skills, and let's modify this one. I've got two here, so let me just delete one. Turn it off. Okay, so this is the one I'm using. And oh, you know what? I'm gonna turn off this one because I've modified that for the project. Yeah, so let's edit this one and put it here. All right, so now let's try it again. let me create a new conversation and see how it does. Oops, I forgot. I forgot to give the skill. Hold on. Stop. All right. One more time. And this time I add the skill. Yep. Yep. It's giving me the priority tier. It also is telling me it's got a high yield pattern worth naming explicitly. This is the high yield pattern. The absence of localizing findings on exams actually narrows the differential. And does it give me questions? So it gives me all the different possible things. And then it recommends initial workup. Look at that. So this is what I need to do to test for this. If I want to test for liver, kidney function, I want to do the CMP. And then based on that, these are things that, I could do to rule out certain things. And yeah, so now I've got a nice, useful tool to help me with my differential. Very cool. Okay, let's do one more. And this time, we're going to ask, I think we tried this. Oh, oops, I went ahead. But yeah, we tested it out. It's pretty cool. Let's do the last task of this project, which is build a clinical safety layer. What we're going to do in this part is creating some safety guardrails, making sure that you can trust it. Adding things like citation requirements and refusal to diagnose. If you don't know, just don't. So in this project instruction, I'm building a safety layer that protects the project by including things like citation requirements, explicitly including uncertainty flagging rules, refusal to diagnose guardrail, and a test the complete safety layer with clinical scenario. Okay. And then I'm going to add citation and verification requirements. So we're going to open the clinical assistant project, and we're going to add this at the end of our existing instructions. So let's go back to the project and go to the instructions, and then at the bottom, add this. Awesome. Okay, now that I've added it, what do I do with it? Let's test it out. So what we've done actually in this is we've added two layers. One is citations. Always give me a claim. Like if you're going to make any claims, give me citation so that I know it's true. And then give me a chain of thought. So think out loud with me. So when you give me the answer, just briefly explain it, Add uncertainty flagging rule. So we're going to add a little more. Tell me explicitly like what level of confidence you feel, and then don't diagnose if you don't know. So always use language like this includes, or consider. Never say this patient has, because it's AI generated and it's only for brainstorming. It's not the source of truth. Okay, let's add that piece in here and protect ourselves. So a reminder that AI, our clinical AI assistant, is a AI assistant. So let's take a screenshot of that. Why are the confidence markers important in clinical AI responses? I added confidence markers because it will give me or a physician a quick signal about how much to trust each piece of the response. A high confidence label will mean that it is a well known fact and the physician can move fast. A low confidence label would mean that we should do some more double checking before acting. Super useful, right? All right, let's test it out. Okay, let's go back and in a new conversation. All right, a 72-year-old patient is prescribed for amoxicillin for dental infection. What drug interaction should I be aware of and how should I adjust monitoring? So you can see it gives you good information about drug monitoring. And then it's saying, okay, all the recommendations it's giving, it's saying, okay, this is high confidence. You should do this. I know you should do this. And then, yeah, basically following exactly what we kind of instructed it to tell us, right? Very, very cool. So let's see. Let's see. Does Claude cite specific sources? Um, hmm. Let me see. In this case, no. Oh, it's based on clinical knowledge. Oh, okay. Yep. Does it include chain of thought reasoning? Yeah, I think so. It explains everything. Um, it's justified, all the references. Cool. Does it use confidence marker? Yes. Plot does not say the patient has. Yeah, in this case, that was not the situation, but yeah. And the response ends with AI generated content disclaimer. Yeah, 100%. What did you find when verifying Claude's response against the safety layer checklist? I checked for citations and found that Claude had included all the references and source guidance. The confidence marker showed where Claude was confident in, and the disclaimer was present at the end. Nice. Now let's test one more. And let's do this. And let's see that it still follows the project instructions. Okay, so this is for 6th grade reading level. It gives you all the details, the good news. Oh, it's citing, yep. And gives you a disclaimer of like how, yeah, exactly how we wanted the diagnosis to, how you want to talk to a patient. It takes care of like what you should do. And it has the AI generated content disclaimer. So cool. All right, one more test. Acute chest pain with inferior ST elevation. Oh, immediate safety flag. If this patient is in front of you now, activate EMS. Transfer to ED immediately, if not already in a hospital setting. Do not delay reperfusion. Time to balloon goal. My goodness, sounds scary. Right, Claude's taking a little bit of time. Hello. No. Sometimes. Sometimes AI clinical assistants need a break too. So just check. If you're not seeing what you should, just talk to Claude and say, hey, give me the sources. You're not flagging uncertainty, and just train it. So I'm going to take a quick screenshot of this while Claude loads. How did the safety layer change in comparison? The safety layer worked because every time it gave me sources and citations and included a AI generated content disclaimer. Nice. And we are done. So now you can choose if you want to keep this or you want to delete everything, in which case you just want to go here and delete the project, right? But if you want to play around with it some more, please feel free to. And don't forget to take the quiz. And don't forget, this is very important, don't forget to hit mission accomplished. So if you don't see the button, just go through and see what you might have missed. And it sometimes it's just like, I missed adding a screenshot. Where's my differential diagnosis question that I had? Let's do that again. And I'm going to take it specifically says chain of thought reasoning. Look at that. It knows when to say what. Very cool. So I'm going to add the screenshot here. What refinements did you add to your differential diagnosis prompt? And how did Claude's behavior change? I refined my prompt by adding rules to include the confidence level and to include never miss diagnosis to ensure that the patient is always safe. Okay. And now at the end, I should see a mission accomplished button, which then I can click, and I can then share my documentation. So this becomes available to anybody I want to share this with. All I have to do is just click on share. I can copy the link or I can post it on LinkedIn, the community, and just share this wealth of information with people, right? It's such a awesome project. I hope you find this helpful, whether you're in healthcare or not. I hope you learned a little something about prompt engineering and how you can use project skills and styles to help you tailor your prompts in a way that suits you very effectively. Thanks for doing this project along with me. Find me in the Nextword community and tell us how much you love this project or what other projects you want to see. Until next time, bye.